Ecuador's parliament did not make a decision regarding the president's veto on the bill that allows the termination of pregnancy in case of rape, thus allowing the text to enter into force with the observations made by President Guillermo Lasso. The Russian government reiterated that the possible accession of Sweden and Finland to NATO will reduce stability in Northern Europe. The World Health Organization reported that the total number of confirmed coronavirus infections exceeds 500 million on the planet since the beginning of the pandemic. Hi, this is From the South. I am your news anchor, Diego Martin, from the teleSUR studios in Havana. We begin with the news. Ecuador's parliament did not make a decision regarding the president's veto on the bill that allows the termination of pregnancy in case of rape, thus allowing the text to enter into force with the observations made by President Guillermo Lasso. Parliament had until Friday to pronounce itself on the partial veto, otherwise the norm will be inscribed in the official registry incorporating the modifications formulated by the executive. Among the modifications is that for the initiation of the medical procedure, an affidavit or a medical examination that accredits the sexual aggression be presented. On this, dozens of social organizations have pointed out that the objections of the national government impose conditions that are impossible for most of them to meet. El Salvador's police guild announced Thursday that police commanders are pressuring their officers to comply with a daily quota of arrests, which is being met with the arbitrary detention of innocent people. Marvin Reyes, representative of the Police Guild of El Salvador, said that the police have arrested innocent people in order to meet the goals set by the executive. Reyes said that the police have been told they need to arrest 20,000 people each month, which has translated into pressure within the institution. More than 10,000 people have been detained so far, after President Nayib Bukele requested congressional authorization for a state of emergency that allows police to make arrests without laws or provide access to a lawyer.
Nearly 12 days have passed, and in these 12 days there has been pressure to reach a certain number of detainees. We've been told the total number of detainees after 30 days need to be 20,000. This is the parameter requested by the government authorities.
Reyes also said that police have arrested people who have to do with gangs in order to meet the daily quotas of arrests.
It is not in all the delegations, but it happens in several police units that arrests of people who have nothing to do with gangs have been registered. Another aspect that has been strongly pointed out and which has been demanded that it should not be ordered is the daily arrest quotas requested to police officers.
In Argentina, the government and grain transporters agreed to create a multi-sectoral dialogue table to address current problems after several days of strike. After 4 days of transport strike, the members of the Federation of Argentinian Transporters participated in a meeting with representatives of several rural entities organized by the Ministry of Transportation. During the meeting, it was decided to organize a session of the dialogue table for May 15th with the purpose of reviewing fuel tariffs. It was also agreed to establish a conflict resolution committee for the dialogue between grain producers and transporters. In addition, the Energy Secretariat assured that it will guarantee the supply of fuel. In Peru, little over 10 months into Pedro Castillo's mandate, the opposition and the majority of the media in the country continue to seek the presidential vacancy, despite the severe social and economic crisis further heightened the last few days by the unfortunate deaths of 5 people and dozens of injured.
Since Keiko Fujimori lost elections, Popular Force, the right-wing parties, and the majority of the media haven't stopped trying to oust President Pedro Castillo. They are following a plan designed to vacate presidents, and with that, they intend to accomplish the goal they've set their minds on, which is to not acknowledge the electoral results of the past election. They are carrying out this plan with vacancy motions, presenting claims unsuccessfully before the Organization of American States, with draft bills and support from the media, no matter how severe the crisis the country experiences is. This creates an environment that weakens governability.
We have returned, I think, to the 90s, when the headlines in the press all say, "Out with Castillo, Castillo is gone." It really is outrageous.
For ex-premier and Congressman Bellido, nothing is free in politics. He considers monopolies have set higher prices on food to create unrest. and follow the strategy of pro-Fujimori Congresswoman Martha Moyano to vacate the president, just as she phrased it in an audio file recently leaked to the media. Now they go on to the third phase, which is to hit the population hard, and for that they are generating shortages, raising the prices on products, so the people grow desperate and begin blaming the government about the situation. The Congresswoman for Free Peru, Silvana Robles, criticizes Moyano's vacancy plan. Robles also denounced Moyano to the Ethics Commission for instigating the protesters of April 5th, day in which a group of vandals and criminals wreaked havoc after Castillo declared a limitation of citizens' mobility.
Reason why Ms. Moyano is in this indictment before the Council of the Ethics Commission: her voice can be heard clearly in an audio file where she talks of a plot to make Castillo resign his post.
8 months after the general elections, the laws benefiting the people are inexistent, and the draft bill to ban monopolies that raise the price of staple foods are only a patch in the torn cloth, when what the situation actually demands is a new constitution. This draft bill of banning monopolies is really only a patch for the Constitution. No matter how much you approve laws, banning monopolies won't make the system work. We need a new Constitution. The state needs to be restructured. That's the final cure. A new accusation to oust Castillo and a motion underway to cut Premier Torres out of the picture show how indifferent the media and the opposition are to the 5 deaths from recent violent outbursts in the country. Peru is shaken by the latest events. Delay demands affecting those most in need don't seem to be enough when personal interests are in the way.
Ramiro Angulo Maquiavelo, TeleSUR, Lima.
We're going to take a short break now. Please join us again after this. Hi, and welcome back to From the South. The Russian government reiterated that the possible accession of Sweden and Finland to NATO will reduce stability in Northern Europe. Russia acknowledged that the decision was up to the authorities of Finland and Sweden, but indicated that the initiative would not improve its security. In this respect, the Russian spokeswoman Karova pointed out that NATO continues its expansion towards the east with the purpose of creating another front of confrontation to threaten her country. The diplomat added that Stockholm and Helsinki will have to give up part of their sovereignty if they join the transatlantic alliance, and clarified that this situation will affect the diplomatic relations with the Kremlin. On Thursday, Moscow said it is ready to place nuclear weapons in the Baltics to reinforce the security of Sweden and Finland join the Western military bloc. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, the Russian missile cruiser Moskva, which was damaged Wednesday night, sunk while under tow in a storm. The ship was the flagship of the Russian Navy in the Aegean Sea and was equipped with 16 Vulcan missile launchers. The Moskva was being towed to its destination port due to hull damage caused by a fire after detonating munitions when it lost stability and sank in a stormy sea. Previously, the Russian Defense Ministry reported that the cruiser had been seriously damaged by a fire on board the night before, which caused the detonations. And on Friday, the Russian Defense Ministry reported in its usual balance sheet the elimination of about 30 Polish soldiers on Ukrainian territory who were reported to be mercenaries.
As a result of a strike, Rocket Forces eliminated a detachment of mercenaries of a private Polish military company in the village of Izumskoye, Kharkov. Up to 30 Polish mercenaries have been eliminated.
China strongly condemned the U.S. Senator's visit to Taiwan, describing it as a violation of the One China principle, and added that the military exercise carried out by Chinese forces was in response to the U.S. officials' visit to the island.
The Chinese Army's move is a countermeasure against the recent negative actions by the United States and the latest visit to Taiwan by the U.S. senators. The United States has no right to put its domestic law above international law, let alone use it to interfere in internal affairs on the Taiwan issue. The United States should abide by the One China principle and the provisions of the three joint communiques, not some so-called Taiwan Relations Act.
China's President Xi Jinping called for building the world's best spacecraft launch site. The leader of the Chinese executive called for striving to build a world-class spacecraft launch site during his visit to inspect the Wenchang launch site in the southern province of Hainan. Xi's visit comes as China's longest manned space mission comes to an end. It is being carried out by 3 astronauts who manned the Shenzhou 13 spacecraft last October and will land on Earth on Saturday at the Dongfang landing site in the Gobi Desert in northwest China.
I hope you will vigorously carry forward the spirit of 2 bombs and 1 satellite and the spirit of manned space program at the frontier of global space development to meet the major strategic needs of China's space industry. Shoulder your responsibility, be brave to innovate and make breakthroughs, comprehensively improve our modern space launch capabilities, and strive to build a world-class spacecraft launch site.
Algeria closes itself to the Spanish beef market and increases the price of gas to the Iberian country in retaliation to Madrid's support to Morocco regarding the conflict with Western Sahara. According to reports in the Spanish press on Thursday, there has been a de facto closure of the Algerian market for Spanish livestock farmers and commercial operators. The measure is in addition to the announcement on April 12th, in which Algeria warned that it will raise the price of gas to Spain and reported the signing of an agreement with the Italian government as a preferential partner in the energy supply at a time when access to gas takes special relevance due to the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. The trigger for this situation is the Spanish endorsement of the autonomy plan proposed by Morocco for the Sahara to the detriment of the recognition of the Western Sahara as an independent nation, a decision which has also led the Polisario Front to suspend its contacts with Spain. The death toll from the devastating floods in South Africa rose to 395 on Friday, mainly in the Durban region on the country's east coast. Police, army, and volunteer rescuers on Friday widened the search for dozens still missing 5 days after more than 340 people died in the deadliest storm to strike Durban. The unprecedented floods left a trail of destruction. Travis Trower, a director for the volunteer-run organization Rescue South Africa, said his teams had found only corpses after following up 85 calls on Thursday. Meanwhile, volunteers with hand gloves and trash bags fanned across the city's beaches to pick up debris left by weekend holidaymakers.
Well, if you think about it, at the moment we've got such devastation oceans, we won't have a beach to appreciate in future years to come, and neither will our children. So it's important that people are educated to get the plastics out of the beach, stop the microplastics in the sea and the pollution that's killing off our oceans.
Look, the task it's a mammoth task. It's a long way to go, but as you can see by the number of people we have around us here, they've all banded together. This is just one beach of 3 other beach cleanups going on concurrently.
We have more news coming up after a final short break. Please stay with us. Hi and welcome back. The Health Organization reported that the total number of confirmed coronavirus infections exceeds 500 million on the planet since the beginning of the pandemic. The health institution pointed out that more than 500 million cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in the world, as have the 6.19 million deaths caused by the coronavirus on a global scale. The WHO also detailed that the regions with the most infections are Europe, with at least 200 million cases, America with 150 million positive cases, and Southeast Asia with 58 million people infected. Africa, on the other hand, is the region where the coronavirus has the lowest incidence. However, the WHO warned that the number of infections could be 97 times higher than what is reflected in the official statistics of each country. The Chinese mainland reported 3,472 new locally transmitted COVID-19 cases, of which 3,200 were reported in Shanghai, according to the National Health Commission's report Friday morning. The locally transmitted tally includes 404 infections which were recategorized as confirmed cases from asymptomatic ones. No new deaths or suspected cases were reported on Thursday. Now, on that very day, 1,430 patients were discharged from hospitals after recovery and 28,778 close contacts were released from medical observation. As of Thursday, the Chinese mainland cumulatively reported 17,915 reported confirmed cases with no deaths. Among them, 17,667 were discharged from hospitals after recovery and 283 remained in hospitals with no severe cases. A total of 30,574 confirmed cases, including 854 deaths, were logged in the Taiwan region of China. On Friday, Israeli troops attacked the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third holiest site for Muslims, while hundreds of Palestinians were performing prayers for the holy month of Ramadan. According to the latest report, 152 Palestinians resulted injured after a crackdown on protests in East Jerusalem and a subsequent assault on the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The official Wafa news agency of Palestine reported that dozens of uniformed men entered the sanctuary and attacked the thousands of Muslim worshippers performing the dawn prayer. During the raid, the military used live bullets, rubber bullets, stun grenades, and tear gas, without any consideration for the elderly, women, and children in the premises. Speaking of that, brutality by Israeli forces was caught on camera and disseminated through social networks. Let's take a look. In the footage, we can see a group of Israeli uniformed men escorting a handcuffed Palestinian child, while there's another kid laying on the ground wounded as a consequence of Israeli repression. Another footage shows how a Palestinian cameraman and a journalist were also injured while covering the repression. The occupation regime has exponentially increased the arrests and aggressions in the occupied West Bank, which has caused the death of several Palestinians in the last few days. The Imam of the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem condemned the brutality of the occupation forces and said that violently barging into the third holiest place in Islam is a line not to be crossed.
Eruptions in Al-Aqsa Mosque. The first during the dawn prayer, and the second where women and men were oppressed, as well as all the people who were in the courtyard of the mosque. The second attack occurred at 8:30 a.m. The assault was made inside the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Masjid Qibli. More than 80 young people inside the Holy Mosque were displaced. This repression and barbarism is committed by the occupation to repress our people and empty Al-Aqsa Mosque. The occupation knows that Al-Aqsa Mosque is a red line that must not be crossed. For this mosque we sacrifice our hearts and blood, and we condemn it on behalf of our people and all those present at the mosque.
Let's stay in Palestine, for a teenager died as a result of serious injuries caused by soldiers of the Israeli occupation regime. The Palestinian Health Ministry announced in a statement that Shaukat Kamal Abed, 17 of age, a resident of the city of Kafr Dan, died of severe wounds he suffered on Thursday after being shot by the Israeli army during a raid in the Jenin district in the northern occupied West Bank. Abed was rushed to Ibn Sina Hospital in Jenin, where he was later declared dead. His death brings the total number of Palestinians shot dead by Israeli forces since Wednesday morning to 7. And the Israeli army attacked on Thursday with missiles several positions located southwest of Damascus, the Syrian Ministry of Defense said in a statement broadcast on national television. At around 11 p.m. local time, Israeli forces fired missile rounds from the occupied Syrian Golan at southwest Damascus, the note said, with only material damage reported. Israel has already carried out 6 attacks during the current year against the territory of Syria. The situation was condemned by the Syrian government, which at the same time condemned the silence of the United Nations in the face of the repeated violations of its sovereign territory by Israel. North Korea celebrated on Friday the 110th anniversary of the birth of its founder Kim Il-sung, grandfather of the country's current leader Kim Jong-un. According to local media, the celebrations included a lanterns festival, dances, and fireworks. The holiday is known in the country as the Day of the Sun. At the Lantern Festival, which was held in the center of the capital, Pyongyang, they displayed light sculptures in the form of national symbols such as Mount Pagtu, a domestically manufactured tank, and the birthhouse of Kim Il-sung. On the occasion, they also issued some commemorative postcards featuring the late leader. We've come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at teleSUR English. You can also join us on social media for all the latest news. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For teleSUR English, I am Dio Martin. Thank you for watching.